Comic book movies aren't just about Marvel and DC superheroes. Over the years, there have been amazing films based on comics and graphic novels that stand completely on their own. Some are action-packed, some are dark and stylish, and others are full of humor and creativity. In today's video, I'll share my favorite comic book movies that prove you don't need capes and billion-dollar franchises to make unforgettable cinema. From cult classics to hidden gems, these are the best comic book movies outside of Marvel and DC. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Few comic book movies feel as original and fun as Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Directed by Edgar Wright, it feels like a video game, a comic, and a movie all mixed into one. The story follows Scott, played by Michael Cera, who must fight his new girlfriend's 7 evil exes in order to date her. What I like about this film is how it never takes itself too seriously. It's funny, fast, and full of energy. The action is cartoonish but so entertaining, with over-the-top fight scenes that look like they're ripped straight from a graphic novel. Personally, I think it's one of the most rewatchable comic movies of all time because it has style and personality that you don't often see. If you liked movies like Kick-Ass or Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, then Scott Pilgrim is definitely for you. Dick Tracy. This is one of those comic book adaptations that really tries to look like a comic come to life. The colors are bright, the costumes are larger than life, and the villains are unforgettable. Warren Beatty plays the famous detective fighting crime and corruption in the city, while Al Pacino steals the show as one of the craziest villains you'll ever see in a comic movie. What makes this film unique is how it embraces that old-school comic strip style. It doesn't try to look realistic, it just goes all in on being a living cartoon. It's not perfect, but it's a fun ride and a piece of comic movie history. If you enjoyed the retro style of Batman 1989 or movies with exaggerated visuals like Sin City, Dick Tracy is worth checking out. Kick-Ass. Not every hero needs superpowers, and Kick-Ass proves it. Instead of focusing on powerful heroes with super abilities, it's about regular people who decide to put on costumes and fight crime. Aaron Taylor Johnson plays Kick-Ass, but the real standout is Chloe Grace Moretz as Hit Girl, who became one of the most iconic comic book characters in the last 20 years. The action scenes are brutal, but also filmed with so much style that you can't look away. What I enjoy most about this movie is how it mixes humor with real danger. It's funny but also shocking at times. For me, this is one of the boldest comic movies ever made. If you like Deadpool or Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, you'll definitely enjoy Kick-Ass. Hellboy. Directed by Guillermo del Toro, Hellboy is a dark and stylish comic adaptation that mixes supernatural horror with big-hearted characters. Ron Perlman absolutely nails the role of Hellboy, a demon who works for a secret government agency to fight monsters and dark forces. What I like about Hellboy is that it's both weird and lovable at the same time. The world building is fantastic, with creative creature designs and gothic settings that feel like a mix of Pan's Labyrinth and Men in Black. Personally, I think it's one of the most underrated comic book films because it doesn't follow the usual superhero formula. If you enjoyed movies like Blade 2 or Constantine, Hellboy is a must-watch. Sin City. Here is a comic book movie that looks exactly like the graphic novel it's based on. Directed by Robert Rodriguez and Frank Miller, it uses black and white visuals with splashes of color to create a unique, unforgettable style. The stories are violent, gritty, and full of morally complex characters, with standout performances by Mickey Rourke, Bruce Willis, and Jessica Alba. Personally, I find Sin City fascinating because it doesn't look like any other comic book adaptation. It's raw, stylish, and feels like an old-school noir detective story mixed with graphic novel energy. If you liked movies like The Crow or Watchmen, Sin City is right up your alley. Kingsman: The Secret Service. Kingsman takes the classic spy movie formula and gives it a wild comic book twist. Taron Egerton stars as Eggsy, a street-smart kid who is recruited into a secret spy organization. The action is over the top, with fight scenes that are choreographed almost like dances, stylish, brutal, and fun to watch. Colin Firth also surprises everyone by becoming a super cool action star here. What I enjoy most is how the movie balances humor with big action, never taking itself too seriously but still delivering thrilling set pieces. For me, Kingsman is one of the most entertaining comic book movies of the last years. If you liked Kick-Ass or classic James Bond films, you'll definitely enjoy Kingsman. Dredd. This movie is a gritty, hard-hitting adaptation of the Judge Dredd comics, and in my opinion, it's much better than the 1995 version. Karl Urban plays Judge Dredd, a law enforcer in a futuristic city where crime is out of control. The story is simple. Dredd and his rookie partner are trapped in a massive tower block run by a ruthless gang leader, but the action is non-stop and incredibly intense. What I like is that Dredd doesn't waste time. It's straightforward, brutal, and visually striking with its slow-motion action scenes. Personally, I think it's one of the best action-heavy comic book films. If you like The Raid or RoboCop, then Dredd will be right up your alley. The Rocketeer. The Rocketeer is a throwback to old adventure serials and has a charming, family-friendly feel. The story is about a young pilot who discovers a jetpack and becomes a flying hero, battling gangsters and Nazis in 1930s Los Angeles. It's light-hearted, romantic, and full of that classic adventure spirit. Personally, I think it's a hidden gem among comic book movies, especially if you enjoy more optimistic, old-fashioned storytelling. It may not have the action of modern superhero films, but it has heart and a nostalgic charm. If you liked Captain America, The First Avenger, or Indiana Jones, then The Rocketeer is a must-watch. The Crow. What a dark and stylish comic book film that became a cult classic. Brandon Lee stars as Eric Draven, a man who returns from the dead to seek revenge on the people who killed him and his fiancée. The gothic atmosphere, haunting soundtrack, and tragic backstory all combine to make this movie unforgettable. Personally, I think The Crow is one of the most powerful comic adaptations ever made, and Brandon Lee's performance is both heartbreaking and iconic. It's emotional, moody, and full of striking visuals that make it stand out from other superhero or action films. If you liked Sin City or Batman 1989, then The Crow is a must-see. V for Vendetta. V for Vendetta is one of the most powerful and thought-provoking comic book movies, set in a dystopian future where a corrupt government controls everything. The story follows V, a masked revolutionary who fights to inspire people to rise up. Hugo Weaving gives a brilliant performance as V, while Natalie Portman delivers one of her strongest roles. Personally, I think this movie is timeless because its themes of freedom, rebellion, and standing up against oppression will always be relevant. The visuals are stylish, the dialogue is memorable, and the story stays with you long after it ends. Thanks so much for watching this list of the best comic book movies outside of Marvel and DC. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment with your favorite comic movie of all time. I'd love to hear your picks, and if you've already subscribed, let's jump straight into the next video.